Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Live Free Now show. I'm your host, John Bush, where I bring you the news, views, tips, and tools you can use to live a free, prosperous, and healthy life. And today we are going to be talking about how you can find more freedom in 2022. Yes, 2021 is coming to an end. For many people, they're very excited about that. It was actually a pretty good year for me as far as life and business goes. Lots of changes I'll share with you, but many people are falling victim to the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Of course, we are in the middle of this never-ending pandemic that's just dragging on and dragging on. And it's all part of an agenda to create a more totalitarian, controlled, and centralized world. And each one of us has the power and the ability to make some big changes in our lives. We need to step out from a state of victimhood into a place of empowerment and take the bull by the horns and take responsibility for the lives that we lead. And today I want to share 5 things that you can do in your life in order to have a more free 2022. I want to shout out everybody that's tuned in to the stream. Anarchy from rural Minnesota just joined us right in time. We got Chesapeake City, Maryland here. We got British Columbia, Canada, where it's really tough up there as well. Maryland's probably pretty tough as well. CB Malden, I need to find a Freedom Cell here in Nashville, Tennessee area, or in Middle Tennessee. There's a lot of Freedom Cell activity in Tennessee, and my good friend Nicole Sauce, who does a lot of work with us, she's also on the Unloosed Goose podcast. She does a podcast called Living Free in Tennessee. I suggest you check it out, and she's part of the Freedom Cell Network there. We're going to talk about Freedom Cells. We're going to talk about all things that are good today. And you are tuned in to the Live Free Now show. I want to thank you very much for participating. We're streaming live to YouTube. We're streaming live to my Odyssey channel, which is a blockchain-based, decentralized video social media platform. Can't be censored. Super cool. We're streaming to Derek Brose's D-Live. Shout out to the D-Live audience and Derek Brose's The Conscious Resistance Rofkin as well, which is another blockchain-based platform. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency today. In fact, I want to invite you guys out to a webinar that I'm hosting on January 6th. That's January 6th, 2022. It's called the Build Wealth Opt-Out Webinar. We're going to be talking about how cryptocurrency can help you to not only protect and preserve wealth that you may already have, but also how you can build wealth and really just catapult your financial life using cryptocurrency. But not just when it comes to wealth and money and material abundance. I want to show you how cryptocurrency can help you to find more freedom and, more importantly, to push back on this coming technocracy, right? We're going to talk about how cryptocurrency can help with monetary sovereignty, digital privacy. We're going to talk about how to use cryptocurrency safely and securely if you do find yourself wanting to get involved in the space. Been involved since 2012, 2013 or so, learned a lot of mistakes and a lot of tricks and tactics and secrets. I'm going to share all that with you. And we're going to spend a good amount of time going over some of these objections that a lot of people have. There's so many objections. What happens when the internet goes down? Somebody in the Greater Reset chat on Telegram was just bringing up this objection here all the time. Maybe I'll talk about it later today. We're going to talk about power grid going down. Is cryptocurrency a new world order centralized plot to create a global one world currency? And finally, I'm going to share how, because of the decentralized nature of cryptocurrency and these decentralized blockchains, it's essentially ungovernable, especially as we free people are here rocking and rolling. So I want to invite you out to buildwealthoptout.com. That is buildwealthoptout.com. Let me drop that URL there here on the stream. And you can register absolutely for free. That's buildwealthoptout.com, buildwealthoptout.com. Just click the register my seat spot here. We do have limited space, so I encourage you to check that out right now. It's absolutely free. We'll be doing it January 6th. If you can't make it January 6th, you will be able to get the replay. Again, that's buildwealthoptout.com. It's the Build Wealth Opt-Out webinar. All right, let's get to our topic today. We're going to talk about 5 different areas, 5 different things, 5 different activities that you can engage in to find more freedom in 2022. We find ourselves going on year 2 of this crazy pandemic, and A lot of people have been paying attention to this whole conspiracy to create a more totalitarian surveilled world for many years now. And things just went really hot with this COVID stuff, right? Like, I've been in this game since 2002, studying New World Order and all this stuff. And I woke up because of what happened on 9/11, right? And after 9/11, in the wake of 9/11, there were all of these authoritarian Big Brother controls that came into place, whether it was the Patriot Act, the John Warner Defense Authorization Act, which had the indefinite detention clause, the NSA expanding, FISA courts, and all sorts of stuff, the TSA at the airports, right? And you know, something about these, after 9/11, the federal government in the US further federalized control over airports and the security of the airports. And it's my belief that airports and domestic air travel are a huge vector for control, because there's a lot of people that do business, there's a lot of people that visit family, and there's all these areas where the technocrats and the totalitarians are able to put pressure and to coerce people and to leverage them and to say, well, if you're going to do A, B, and C, like if you want to have a job, if you want to get hospital treatment, if you want your kid to be in a government school, not sure why you would want that. If you want to travel by air, then you got to do A, B, and C. And so we can, of course, anticipate through the airports and through domestic air travel, they're going to start pushing this whole vaccine thing, and they're going to start putting strings attached to all sorts of this, that, and the other. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so if you want to find freedom in 2022, the very first thing that you're going to need to do, the foundational element for finding freedom in 2022 is got to get your mind right. Got to get your mind right. I am the owner and creator of Live Free Academy. We have this Live Free Academy empowerment philosophy. It's a 4-part philosophy. It's going to be interwoven into what we're talking about today. But the foundational piece, before you go on to anything else when it comes to having success in your life, is getting your mind right. Because at the end of the day, our thoughts play a major role in the life that we live, in the quality of life that we experience, and in all that we attract into our worlds. Okay, so I want to encourage people to come at life from a place of empowerment as opposed to a place of victimhood. I know there's a lot of ugly, nasty stuff going on. A lot of people are being put in some difficult situations. Nonetheless, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, and these issues are going to be going on for many years to come. They preceded us. They're going to be going on after us. And what we can do is choose to be empowered. We don't have a lot of control over the things that happen to us. However, if we are an active player in our lifestyle design, we can put ourselves in situations and we can set the stage. We can create an environment for ourselves and our lives where we're less likely to be burdened by the authoritarianism and the tyranny. Case in point, if we choose to be an entrepreneur or to work for a like-minded freedom person, right? Then we're never going to be in a situation in the first place where we even have to worry about these vaccine mandates and all this nonsense. So I just want to make it clear, like in many instances, we don't have control over our circumstances, but we are able to make choices so as to put ourselves in a position where we're less likely to be oppressed or aggressed upon or put in a position where we feel like we have no choice but to do something that we don't want to do, right? What we do have control over is how we show up in the world, how we choose to experience the world. I'm a firm believer in this whole law of attraction thing. Some people think it's hairy-fairy, hocus-pocus, whatever. If that's what you want to think, then that's fine by me. But it's made a really big difference in my life. Strong believer in having an abundance mindset. I'm going to talk about that more with our next little piece. But really, the way that we think about the world, our thoughts in large part create our reality. Let's take an example. We have these mandates that are all sweeping all across the world. These are two examples I like to give often. We have these mask mandates in some areas. Thankfully, I'm in Texas. Yeehaw, I tell you what, boy, we don't have no mask mandate down here, especially in the more rural areas. There's still pretty prevalent mask wearing in Austin, Texas, where I was born and raised, but we just moved out to the country. And I want to help people to do that. I strongly believe that living in the big cities when you live in a big major city, there's so much more authoritarianism, surveillance, and control. We have this whole smart cities agenda. We got the 5G, we got the cameras, we have authoritarian police, and there's a lot more of the lockdown mandate nonsense taking place. So one of the things that we're doing with Live Free Academy is we're encouraging and helping people to move out of the authoritarian cities into the rural areas where they can buy homesteads, go in cooperatively to build intentional communities. We talked about that at the Exit and Build Land Summit, exitandbuildlandsummit.com, where you can catch the recording. But nonetheless, let's talk about these mask mandates and the law of attraction. So let's say there's a mask mandate in place, and of course you're a free person, like our good friend Vanessa here from New Hampshire, who will not be complying with any of these mandates. And so let's say you're like, I'm not going to wear the mask, and you come at it from a different way. Remember, our energy attracts like energy. So if you're all pissed off, you're a grumpy person, and you're like, there's no way they're going to make me wear these masks. I'm going to walk into this store. I dare one of these damn liberals to say something to me because I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. Ooh, and you walk into the store and your eyebrows are all furrowed and you're all pissed off and you're like, I'm never wearing a mask. I'm so free. Because you have that energy and it's just exuding from you, the way you talk, the way you compose yourself, your furrowed eyebrows, you're more likely to attract negative energy and negative attention. You're more likely to have someone try to pick a fight or start an argument with you. Now, contrast that with a different energy. You're just walking in with an energy of acceptance. You're like, I'm a free person. I know the whole world's gone mad, but I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm walking into the store and I'm going to have a big old smile on my face. And I'm going to wave to everybody. I'm going to comment on how beautiful the weather is. And I'm going to march on through with my big teeth smiling. If you're all happy and jolly, it's more likely that you will attract happiness and jolliness. And you'll strike up a conversation with folks rather than having people get upset with you and having tension and stress. That has been my experience. Big time. Just be a pleasant person and you attract pleasantness. Okay? Another example, let's say because of these mandates, the vaccine mandate, you have an employer and they're like, you got to get the vaccine. And you're like, I'm not going to get the vaccine. And they fire you. And then you go into this state of victimhood and your mindset is like, I can't believe this. The government is so terrible. Joe Biden, let's go Brandon. They're totally so burdensome on my life. And you're like all pissed off and angry. You're like, I'm not going to be able to do this. That was my job I had for so many years. It's going to be so difficult finding another job. And you happen to land an interview, but you go in with that energy. They're not going to hire me. They think I'm weird. I'm one of these truth or freedom people. I can't do anything that they say. I can't wear the mask, can't blah, blah, blah. You go into the interview and the interviewer picks up on that energy. And it greatly decreases the likelihood that you're going to get the job. But let's say you got your mind correct. You're not coming at things from a place of victimhood. You're not coming at it from a place where you think things happen to you. Rather, you come at it from a place that things happen for you. You're like, I believe that everything happens for a reason. When one door closes, another one opens. In fact, I'm going to choose to view me getting let go as an opportunity for a change, because I didn't like that job in the first place. And why would I want to work for someone that wants to coerce me into doing a medical procedure that I find to be objectionable? I don't want to work for someone like that anyway. In fact, this is a great opportunity for a big change in my life, right? And then you go into the job interview, you're all happy-go-lucky, feeling empowered. I got a lot of value to add to the world. Maybe you'll get the job. Maybe you'll be like, hey, this is a good opportunity for me to embark on that side hustle that I've always been wanting to do. This is just the universe signaling to me that it's time for a change. It's all about how we choose to show up in the world. Another example, again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about 5 ways that you can find freedom in 2022. 5 things you can do, 5 ways to go about life so you can find more freedom in 2022 than you had in 2021. And the very first foundational element is to get your mind right. Now, let's say you're one of these people that spends a significant amount of your day and night, all into the morning, researching the New World Order and the Illuminati and the Luciferian conspiracy. You're diving deep. You're diving so deep. You know that there's an authoritarian plot to create a totalitarian, centralized global technocracy with a depopulation agenda. United Nations Agenda 2030, Sustainable Development, the Global Biodiversity Assessment. You are just consuming it. You're just, and that's all you do. That's most of your waking hours or most of your free time you're spent researching the mandates, researching the vaccines, how terrible the lockdowns are, Fauci's history with the AIDS virus, the Club of Rome, the United Nations Global Biodiversity Assessment, and the 1999 Rio de Janeiro Pact, and watching Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement by Alex Jones all night. If that's what you're focusing on all the time, then of course you're going to feel completely oppressed and that you live in a total tyranny. And that's what you're going to see all around you. And that's going to be your reality, one of serfdom and fear. I recognized this early on in myself. I was a big fan of Alex Jones many years ago, not so much today, although they do uncover some good research from time to time, but definitely don't like the tone the guy takes. He went hardcore right wing and like all anti-Muslim. And it was weird because he was like, they're trying to turn us against each other and blaming the Muslims, when in reality it was George Bush and the CIA and MI6 and Mossad and stuff. But then a few short years later, he's like, it's the Muslims we got to be afraid of, and the Mexicans, blah, blah, blah. I digress. Anyway, but I recognized I used to binge Alex Jones, and I thought I was all superior to everybody when I was walking around on college campus back in the day. And I was like, I'm listening to Alex Jones, I'm so smart. But I found myself just feeling like the New World Order was everywhere. And every single thing was a symbol for some secret diabolical plot. It's all symbols. And I found myself like, wait a second, what the hell am I doing? This guy's bringing me down, because in reality, there's a lot of beauty and wonder in the world. So contrast the guy that's just banging on the keyboard, researching, sharing articles, blah, 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 blah. He goes to his family Thanksgiving. He won't shut up. His family doesn't even want to be around him. Yes, I was that guy back in the day. I got through to some of my family, but they still don't want to hear about it. Thanksgiving, everybody wants to hang out and be in community with one another. They don't want to hear about the latest conspiracy, right? Now, contrast that with someone that's like, I recognize that there's some terrible things going on in the world. I'm a very aware and conscious person. Yes, I do understand that the enemies of liberty and humanity have an agenda and a plot. And the latest iteration is the Great Reset. But I choose to show up in the world as an active participant in my life and my reality. I'm going to spend less time on the computer. I'm going to spend less time sharing articles on social media. And I'm going to spend more time getting my hands dirty in the garden. I'm going to spend more time playing with my kids. I'm going to spend more time building community with like-minded people. We're going to go to the roller rink, right? We're going to go swimming. We're going to live a good life. And I choose to recognize that almost every single moment of every single day, I am living in a state of total freedom where I'm responsible for my decisions and I'm responsible for the consequences of my actions. That's the life that I'm going to choose to live. Now, same reality, right? But people view it differently and show up differently in the world. And I can guarantee you're going to find much more freedom going on, right? What does Lisa Henderson say? Blah, blah, blah. Everything's within, not without, no matter what. To get that secret garden is an inside job, but to each and every individual on his own time, if time exists. That's right. I hear you completely. What freaking Dave here is saying Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks is Alex Jones, I presume. It's all an inside game. It's an inside job. And there's so many people that spend so much time focused on external tyrants, when in reality, one of the biggest tyrants around is in here. And it's dealing with that shadow and that trauma that we've experienced, and our ability to mess up our plans and our goals, or that inner voice that sometimes doesn't serve us. Sometimes it's our biggest critic. We got to quiet that voice and instead switch it, flip the script with one that empowers us and believes in us. A powerful voice, a confident voice that tells us we can have the reality that we want. So I want to make it crystal clear to everyone that's watching. We deserve better as free, powerful, beautiful human beings. We can do better. We can create the life that we deserve. We can create a state of freedom and eudaimonia amongst the free people. We first, in order to accomplish that, must believe that we can do it and get out of this state of panic, get out of this state of fear, and really show up in the world as the powerful, amazing people that we happen to be. So that's the message that I want to share That's how we're going to start it off today, ladies and gentlemen. We got to get our mind right. Nothing's more important than getting our mind right. Nothing is more important. If you're just joining us, this is the Live Free Now show, bringing the news, views, tips, and tools you can use to live a free, prosperous, and healthy life. We are streaming to D Live, which I'm pulling up right now to see the comments there. We're streaming to D Live. We're streaming to YouTube. We're also streaming to Odyssey. We're streaming to Rofkin. All the good stuff, rocking and rolling, moving and grooving. Okay, let's go on to our next piece. Our next piece, 5 things that you can do in order to have an amazing 2022, a free 2022. Got to get your mind right. You got to get your money right. This is something that I've been very conscious of for the past few years, and I've managed to get my money right and step into a state of financial abundance. Life is good. I'm hearing some comments, folks saying that the mic is not doing good. Let me know how the mic's doing for you guys. Does everything sound okay there on Facebook or YouTube? Maybe it's just going through on D Live. Seems like it sounds okay on my end. Okay, so you got to get your money right. There's a lot of folks that have a really negative, ugly relationship with money, and that's unfortunate. I strongly believe that money won't make you happy, but it makes it easier to pursue happiness. That's right. Money won't make you happy. Being rich won't make you happy, but being in poverty most definitely will not make you happy. That's for certain. So the thing is, if you're someone that is wanting to pursue freedom, if you're someone that wants to opt out, if you're someone that wants to get away from the mandates and all this nonsense, having more money gives you more choices, right? And a big part of freedom is choice. A big part of being free is having choices, okay? So I want to give it a great example. There's a lot of folks and the work that I do with the Greater Reset, Live Free Academy, and just putting myself out there to the world, we're hearing from a lot of people that are in areas like New York City, that are in Canada, folks that are in France, folks that are in Australia. Now, the sad part about Australia is that it's difficult for folks to even leave the country if they're even able to. But there are people that have done that. They've left the country. They've snuck out, right? But there's folks that have the ability to leave. They're not completely locked down in Canada and New York City, and they want to go to greener pastures. Like here in Central Texas, we're encouraging people to move here. There's a huge community. We have over 600 Freedom Cell members. I'm going to talk about that here shortly. Derek Bros is doing amazing work, encouraging people to move to Mexico. They're in Morelia, Mexico, in the mountains in Western Mexico. But there's people all over Mexico, and it's definitely, it's rugged down there, but there's a lot more freedom than you experience in most places. And people have the ability, the freedom to go somewhere else, but they can't. And one of the things that I'm hearing so much is that people can't go anywhere because they can't afford to leave. And there's so many people, unfortunately, that are living paycheck to paycheck, just nonstop, paycheck to paycheck. And that's unfortunate. And I want people to know that it doesn't have to be that way. There's a lot of people that have in their mind money is the root of all evil. And I even share like this webinar that I'm doing. It's called Build Wealth, Opt Out. And one of the focuses is building wealth in your life. I define wealth as the ability to fulfill your wants and needs with ease. That's what I believe being wealthy is. It doesn't have to do with money necessarily, but having money most definitely makes it easier to fulfill your wants and needs with ease. Having community is another great way to have a wealthy life, right? But I share build wealth, opt out. And someone's like, why is there such an emphasis on wealth, money, money, money? There's like this negative attitude about wealth. I think some of it comes from a place of envy, honestly. Some of it comes from a place of lack and scarcity. A lot of it comes from programming that we experienced in our upbringing. Perhaps our parents struggled with money. Perhaps our parents argued about money. Perhaps our parents got in big fights. Perhaps there was days where families and children went hungry, right? And that they're raised that way, and then they have this negative experience with money because it's like, oh, money is stress, money is conflict, money is drama, and they want to stay away from it. But the relationship that people have with money and the way that people think about money, back to the law of attraction, in large part is conducive to how much money they have or their financial life, right? And I just want to make it clear to folks, like if you're there saying wealth is bad and we shouldn't have wealth and money is evil and blah, 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 it's like, the money's going to be floating around because there's a lot of money out there. They just printed like $9 trillion, right? It's floating all around out there. And it's going to be like, maybe we should go hang out with this person. Then you're going to be like, money's evil, wealth is bad. And it's going to be like, whoop, and go the other way. Flip it on the script. If you're like, I think money is a wonderful tool in order to accomplish goals. And in fact, the more money that I have, the more I can help other people. The money is going to be more likely to get attracted to you and come into your world, right? So it's just all about mindset. You can have a scarcity mindset. You can feel like, oh, there's all these rich, wealthy people, and everyone's going on and on about Elon Musk, the richest person in the world. He doesn't pay any taxes and all this nonsense with Senator Elizabeth Warren. Oh my God. But it's a lot of people that are like, feel like it's a zero-sum game. Like because people have, they necessarily don't have. But it's not a zero-sum game. There's an infinite amount of abundance out there that can be had. There's an infinite amount of wealth and value that can be created for other human beings, right? So just flip the way that you think about things. If you have an abundance mindset, you recognize that there's value and money all around us. The cars, the beautiful houses, the buildings, the beautiful opportunities, the technology that we have, the money that went in to build a smartphone, like all of the innovation and money and systems and everything that went into this. You can flip your mindset to come from a place of abundance. This is something I've been very methodical working on for myself because I run a business, run two businesses now, just started a third business. And there were times when I had that scarcity mindset when it's like, all right, there's not a whole lot of money in the checking account for my business and I need to order more products. Oh, I feel a little nervous. What if things get too close to zero? I better just order a small amount. So I'd place the order 20 kilos of kratom, and then fast forward 2 weeks, sell through the kratom. People are ordering products that I don't have to contact them. Hey, I'm sorry to let you know, but we're out of the product. We have some more coming soon. I hope I can ship it to you later. Is that a problem? And because I had that scarcity, it created more problems later on. I recognized that in myself. Practicing mindfulness, I recognized that it was something I was like, wait a second. The more scarce that I am, the more scarce my business becomes. So I recognized that. I said, you know what? I'm just going to place a bigger order. There's a price break when I order 100 kilos too. So screw it. Let's order 100. And it kind of changes the attitude about things. I'm just going to order 100. That's a lot of inventory. I'm just going to have more motivation to sell it and move through it. Get a price break. Won't have to sell out for folks. And I can plow forward. So it's all about that mindset. It's about the way that you look at the world. And I want to encourage folks, there's a lot of money out there. And the way to get that money is by helping other people solve their problems. It's by providing value to other human beings. There's an expression by this guy, Zig Ziglar. He's an old sales guy. He said, you can get everything you want in life if you just help other people to get what they want. Right here, Darina says, I have no idea how to do business. A lot of people don't. It's not something that anyone has ever taught. But one thing I want to point out is this network that we have of freedom people and this Freedom Cell network, and just in general, folks that are red pilled or they're awake, there's a lot of us out there. And there's a lot of people with extremely great talents and a lot of value to offer the world. If we can all step into this place coming from an entrepreneurial mind, we might find that we can start supplying one another with all the goods and services that we need in life. We may find that we don't have to worry about mandates, vaccine mandates, this, that, or the other, because we all employ one another. I have a staff of 2 people, and both of them I met through the freedom community and through activism. Both of them are active members in the Freedom Cell Network. I'm hiring a third person that I met because of freedom activism as well. We're out there. We just got to put it out to the world and provide value and support one another, right? So, Dorina, I want to invite you. I have a membership program. There's a 14-day free trial. So if things are tight, feel free to sign up for the 14-day free trial, cancel on the 13th day. You get access to all the workshops that I've ever done on cryptocurrency, purchasing land, exiting the systems, exiting the cities. And I did a session on money mindset. So the stuff I'm talking about, just in this little brief segment, it's one of 5 things I want to cover today. I did a whole 2 hours on money mindset and abundance mindset. And then I did another session. Members get to participate in tips, tactics, and strategies session that I do every month. I also do a Meet the Expert session. Just a couple days ago, we had Ramiro Romani on to talk about internet privacy. He's one of our cohorts in the Freedom Cell Network. He's a co-producer of the Greater Reset. But I did a whole thing on entrepreneurship, how to start a business, how to expand a business. I even gave all sorts of tips if you're an employee how to provide more value for your employer so you can in turn go ask for a big raise, right? So I encourage you to check that out. You can go to livefreemembership.com, livefreemembership.com, and give that a look if you're interested in getting into business for yourself. The cool thing about money in business, a lot of people have a salary or they have an hourly wage. And the problem with that reality is if you're in the United States or if you're in any country with a central bank, they're inflating the currency willy-nilly left and right. And it was just said that the consumer price index, which is a way to judge inflation, that's 6.5%. That's a lot. And these numbers are inflated. These numbers are fake and phony. So I imagine it's even more and more of that. I'm going to switch my microphones here because I keep getting little comments that there's some problems. So let's switch over to this one. I'm hoping that this will sound a little bit better. Okay, check 1, 2. Can everybody still hear me? We still rocking and rolling, moving and grooving here? Check 1, 2. Tell me if you can hear me. All right. So I'm more interested in connecting with people who already have businesses and work. Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about the Freedom Cell Network here in a second. I strongly encourage you and invite you to take part in the Freedom Cell Network because there's a lot of people that are coming together and there's like job listings, there's employers that are looking for work, there's employees and contractors and stuff that are looking to work with other people. So I'll share that with you here in a second. We'll get to that. But just to sum up, money is important. And the way that we think about money and the relationship that we have with money plays a big role in the money that we have and the wealth that we have. Now I'm hearing that we have way better audio. Man, I wish I would have started with this one from the get-go. I have these great little wireless mics here, but there's no way to check and see if the battery's going good or not. So anyway, all right. So the next step to having more freedom in 2022, get your mind right, get your money right. Those are inextricably tied together. In fact, getting your mind right is a root of all sorts of progress and success in life. The next thing is to have a plan. Come up with a plan, a strategy. Again, there's folks that are wanting to leave their political jurisdiction because it's gone hardcore authoritarian with all this mandates, right? But they're not able to. They don't have a plan. So we just did a session last night, tips, tactics, and strategy session. It was all about goal setting and having habits, hacking your habits. And there was someone from Canada that wants to move to Mexico or the US, right? There's so many people coming to Mexico and Texas. It's really cool. And so I encouraged her to come up with a plan, right? To write it down on paper, to begin with the end in mind. Oh, lost you there for a sec. We're having some tech issues, apparently. We talked about this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the habits is to begin with the end in mind. And essentially what that means is to have a vision for where it is that you want to go, whether it's life, business, relationship, your body, your health, right? So for folks that are living in a political jurisdiction that is authoritarian, is just too controlling, you may not be able to move tomorrow, but come up with a plan, come up with a strategy, put some goals in place. It's absolutely critical for success. We can't allow ourselves to go about our lives just carrying out a program, being passive players, constantly reacting to the politics of the day or the mandate of the day. We need to take control of our lives and our circumstances. That's the first habit of highly effective people. Be proactive. We need to be proactive in our lives. And a great thing that we can do that'll help us to be more proactive is to come up with a plan, lay out some goals, lay out some targets. So for the person that's there in Canada or in New York City or San Francisco or France, just constantly saying, I want to leave, things are terrible here, it's not going to get anything done. Come up with a plan, come up with some goals. A great goal, right? Goals are really important to have a target and have some specificity to the goal. So let's say you're living in Canada or you're living in France. Don't just write down a goal. I live in Texas. Have the goal be by the end of June 2022,
my family will be settled in Texas or Mexico, right? So you write out this goal. Then you're like, okay, what's it going to take to accomplish that goal? I need to come up with a plan. Okay, we need to get our affairs in order here first before we go. We have some debt that we'd like to pay off before we leave. We have a whole lot of belongings that we've accumulated over the past 20 years of living together. We need to sell this. We can sell this stuff and get some money for our travels, right? We don't want to leave stuff in storage back in France. We need to get rid of it. Okay, we have 2 children. Those children are currently in a school, a government school. So this is a great opportunity to move them to a homeschooling cooperative or a program or a private school. Okay, so we need to get that in order. We need to figure out where it is that we're going to move. We're really attracted to Central Texas. A lot of cool stuff going on there. We also like what Derek Bros has going on in Morelia, Mexico. So part of our plan, we need to do more research and to see what the job market is like, what the housing is like, what the cost of living is. We're going to leverage the Freedom Cell Network to find some people in those areas and see what it is that they're doing and see if they can give us some advice or give us some input on where to live or how to go about doing these things, right? So you come up with a plan, you put it on paper, and then you start working your plan. It's not just some thing that's up in the air. Maybe it'll happen, maybe not. You take control. You take the reins of your life. You come up with a plan and you execute that plan. And back to the mindset thing, you execute the plan with certainty. You become so absolutely sure in your mind that this is going to happen that it becomes a reality. Not a matter of if, but when, and not just randomly when, but by the end of June 2022, we're going to be in one of these other places. Come up with a plan for everything. Let's say maybe you struggled with money in the past and you need to purchase a flight and need to pay off this, that, or the other in order to go. You need to have a down payment for the house that you're going to rent, right? Come up with a plan. How are we going to get that money? Let's say you want to buy a house, but you got some bad credit going on because of some mistakes you made in the past. Come up with a plan on how you're going to get the credit in a better place. Say you want to start a business. Come up with a plan on how you're going to start that business. Put it down on paper. Write it down. Focus on it. Pay attention to it. The plan can shift. It doesn't have to be so concrete. It's really critical. Set some goals. Goals are like big targets that pull you and that give you direction on what you ought to be doing with your day and what you ought to be, how you ought to be spending your time. And when it comes to goals, I'm a big fan of making goals real big. To hit on this again, the 10X rule, we talked about this last night in our members only session. There's a book by a guy named Grant Cardone, big follower and really appreciate his work. He talks about 10Xing your goals, having big, sexy, attractive goals. So for example, in the Freedom Cell Network, we hosted a meeting recently. There's like 80 people that showed up. That's pretty cool. And at the meeting, I laid out a goal for recruitment for 2022. I'm going to talk more about the Freedom Cell Network here in a second. If you don't know what that is, hope you get involved. And we're like, we are going to have, I was like, I want to have a membership goal for 2022. Right now we have 550 people. It's like, was the goal 1,000 people? That's not very exciting. It's not really going to make a huge change or a huge difference. Yeah, there'll be more people at the meeting. There'll be more people to do stuff with, a little bit more people. It's not a crazy difference. So instead of having the goal be 1,000 people, easy, manageable, we're most definitely going to do that. We set the goal of having 10,000 people in the Central Texas Freedom Cell Network. That's 10,000 like-minded people that get it, all in the Central Texas Metroplex, which is like Austin, Travis County, and all the surrounding counties. And in fact, we're encouraging people to go to the surrounding counties, not to Austin. That's a big, attractive goal. It forces you to think big. Okay, 10,000 people in 1 year, that's a lot of people. What are we going to have to do to accomplish that? Well, we're going to have to host more meetings. Okay, what about instead of just having meetings, like business meetings where we talk and stuff and network, we have socials. Tell you what, we had a lot of business meetings in the past, and they would push 60 people. This most recent one was our largest with 80 people. But the moment we have a social where we go down the river, drink some beer and float the river and hang out, 160 people showed up. So I thought that was pretty cool. So we set these goals. All right, every 2 months, we're going to do a business meeting. Every 2 months, we're going to do a social. All of the local groups, we're going to do monthly meetings, right? And then it feeds into the larger group that we get together with. We also are like, okay, if there's 550 people now, if each one of us recruits 2 people for the next year every month, then we'll hit our numbers, right? It was really just one person just recruiting one person, but we're like, let's double it because there's some people that aren't going to participate, all sorts of stuff. So we'll need some people moving to Texas. So Nick's like, yeah, we'll need people to move into Texas. So the next thing we're like, let's relaunch Lone Star Libertopia. This was a website that we had for a brief period, I don't know, 2013, 2014, maybe 15. And it was like a marketing page encouraging people to move to Central Texas. That's really what it was all about. Move to Central Texas, get linked in with the community. Here's all the cool stuff, cool geography, opportunities, business opportunities, all this good stuff. And so the site no longer exists, but we're going to refire up that site, because not only are we going to have to recruit people that already live here and bring them into the network, but we're going to have to find people that are part of the network or people that get it and encourage them to move here to Central Texas, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. So whenever you have these big, big goals, you got to start thinking bigger. And it really becomes like, wow, we got this big attractive goal. It's pulling us. It's an exciting goal to have. What are we going to have to do to accomplish this goal? We're really going to have to make some stuff happen. Okay, so we talked about getting your mind right. We talked about getting your money right, having a plan. And now let's talk about cryptocurrency. Big fan of cryptocurrency, have been since 2012, 2013. In fact, I just came across a Facebook post I made from one of those Facebook memory things back in 2013. And I was like, wow, look at the price of Bitcoin. It was after the price went up to like $1,200, and then it went back down to $600. And I posted this when the price was $600. And I said, don't worry, this is just a minor correction. The price is on a trajectory. It's going to keep going up and up. You need to get yourself, I said, pro tip, get yourself to the left of the decimal point, meaning get yourself one whole Bitcoin. See the decimal point? Get to the left of the decimal point over here. Get yourself a whole Bitcoin before the price gets too high. I said in no time, the price of one Bitcoin will be 10,000, will be 50,000, will be 100,000 someday. Get to the left of the decimal point before it's inaccessible. All right, now, sure enough, the price of one Bitcoin is like $47,500 right now. It's inaccessible for many people. Well, a lot of people aren't aware that you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin for $47,500. You can buy a tenth of a Bitcoin. You can buy 0.008 of a Bitcoin. You can buy $50 worth of Bitcoin, whatever. So here's why I think cryptocurrency can play a big role in helping you to find more freedom in your life. I think it's highly likely that the price is going to continue to rise. Now, mind you, it's going to be down, up. It's going to be, there's going to be little troughs, valleys, and mountains. There's going to be some support and resistance. There's going to be some volatility, but ultimately the price of Bitcoin is going to continue to go up. I very strongly believe that. In fact, I think it's entirely possible that the value of Bitcoin, the market cap of Bitcoin, which is how you value an asset, the market cap is the number of units times the value of each unit. You can value a stock or a company that way, right? I strongly believe that the value of Bitcoin, the market cap of Bitcoin, could surpass the market cap of gold. In which case, if that were to happen, Bitcoin's price would 10x from where it is today. It's very possible that we could experience $400,000 Bitcoin. Now, why do I think Bitcoin's a great tool for helping people to find freedom? Well, there's a big transfer of wealth that's taking place right now. The central banks are creating money out of thin air. They create this money, they give it to commercial banks and investment banks, they bail out corporations with it, and every time they create this new money, well, for one, when the new money is given to commercial banks, those banks then lend the money out, and they can lend that money out at a 10-to-1 ratio. So if a bank has $1 million of new deposits or new money from the Fed, they can then turn around and lend $10 million. That's how the currency gets so diluted and loses so much value. It's absolutely ridiculous. And when that happens, something occurs. It's called an inflation tax. Everybody that uses that money gets taken from, essentially. The value of their money gets robbed. So they say that the consumer price index, that inflation's at 6.5%. Most presumably, it's much more than that. Those are just like manipulated, funny numbers. But imagine if it is 6.5%. You have $10,000 in the bank, and the currency goes down in value 6.5%. Right? You're all of a sudden losing $650. Is that right? Yeah, 10% would be $1,000. So yeah, you no longer have $10,000 worth of value, and that's just 6.5%. I think that's a bogus number. I think it's much more than that. So there's a transfer of wealth taking place. When new money gets created, that money goes to the privileged people, the elite, the banks, the big corporations, and by the time it works its way through the economy, it's lost immense value because now there's more of that money in the economy. This is robbery. It's a hidden tax. Ron Paul calls it the inflation tax. That's happening. There's another transfer of wealth taking place right now as well. There's a lot of money that's flowing into the cryptocurrency space. There's a lot of money that's flowing in from smart people. A lot of money that's flowing in from libertarians, anarchists, innovators, entrepreneurs, crypto geeks, cypherpunks. They're putting money into cryptocurrency. And you know what's happened? A lot of big money is starting to flow into Bitcoin as well and other cryptocurrencies, because there's a lot of big banks, there's a lot of big insurance companies, there's a lot of big corporations that are recognizing this little game that's being played. Some corporations and banks are the beneficiaries of the games. Others are like, we have $100 million in our treasury, it's like their savings account, and we're losing immense value. Imagine having the $100 million and you have the 6.5% inflation. You're losing $65,000. That's ridiculous. That's nuts. 65,000, I'm sorry, you're losing $650,000 worth of value. So these institutions, these banks, these corporations are recognizing that, and they're flowing money into Bitcoin too. And that's the other transfer of wealth. There's a lot of wealth going into Bitcoin and into cryptocurrency. And if you catch it at the right time, you can ride that wave. Here's another reason why I can help you to find freedom. We are experiencing essentially like the de facto social credit score systems in place already in the United States and in the West, right? Obviously, China's perfecting this technology and the communists over there are hardcore. But there's already somewhat of a social credit system in place already. Just think about all of these conservatives and truthers and alternative organizations and folks that are exposing all the nonsense with the vaccine, the toxin and stuff. They're losing their ability to bank. They're losing access to payment services like PayPal, for example. That's kind of like a de facto social credit system where if you say things that are unapproved opinions and views that go against the science, quote unquote, you're not able to do business in this way. Take me, for example. One of my companies is called Brave Botanicals. We sell natural health products, namely Kratom, CBD, and Delta-8 THC. The federal government is not very fond of these alternative medicines, these plant remedies, because they're big competition for big pharma. Kratom especially, it helps people overcome addiction. It helps people quit dependency on opioids like Vicodin, Percocet. It helps people overcome heroin addiction too. My fiance was able to quit Adderall using Kratom, White Lightning Kratom that we sell. Our website's mybravebotanicals.com if you want to check it out, mybravebotanicals.com. Well, because the pharmaceutical companies control the regulatory agencies, and there's a revolving door between the FDA and the big pharmaceutical companies, and the CDC as well, they in turn pressure the government to pressure the banks that in turn pressure the credit card companies. And I'm not able to accept credit cards when I sell my Kratom on my website. But you know what? I can sure as hell accept cryptocurrency. Right? I can do e-check as well. You pay with the checking account and routing number, totally safe, totally secure. But I can't do credit cards, which is what everyone's used to, credit and debit cards. But the cool thing about the cryptocurrency is because of the decentralized nature of cryptocurrency, there's no one that can get in the way of a transaction between me and my client. Nobody at all can stop it. They can pass laws against it. But even China banned mining recently. I just saw an article on Forbes or one of those other news aggregator services that said there's an underground black market mining network in China, one of the most authoritarian places on earth, probably the most authoritarian place on earth. So it's like, if there's a will, there's a way, and the free people are finding ways to continue to do business with one another. If you look at how big the counter economy is, black and gray markets, it's vast. It's trillions of dollars worth of value. And so we have this technology now. Because of its decentralized nature, there's not one central server that can be shut down. There's not a corporation or a board of directors that can be pressured or taken to court or sued. Because the decentralized nature of this technology, if we so choose, even if it's made illegal, we can continue to do business with one another. Now, the Bitcoin blockchain is a transparent blockchain. So if someone ties your identity to your address, then it can be known what your transactions are. But there's other blockchains like Monero and Pirate Chain that are completely obscured and completely private, 110%. These are great tools for free people to continue to engage in commerce online, and there's nothing that the government or the technocrats can do about it. This is a very, very wonderful opportunity for people to find monetary sovereignty in their lives. And I strongly encourage folks, if they've not got involved in the cryptocurrency space yet, to get started. So I want to tell you once again, on January 6th, we are going to be hosting a free webinar. It's called the Build Wealth Opt-Out Webinar. The Build Wealth Opt-Out Webinar. Whoa, look at that, man. It's the Build Wealth Opt-Out Webinar. It's going to take place January 6th. You can register for free, 100% for free. And I'm going to be breaking down cryptocurrency, why it's beneficial, how to use it, how its decentralized nature makes it essentially ungovernable. I'm going to answer some common objections. There's a lot of people that are saying, well, you know, cryptocurrency is going to be useless if the internet goes down. And they're like convinced the internet's going to go down. I always think like, okay, this whole Great Reset, Panopticon, Fourth Industrial Revolution thing is dependent on the internet. So it's like you're going to take away the internet, then you're going to take away all of their agenda, essentially. If the internet goes down in certain areas, it doesn't go down all over the globe. There's no internet kill switch to remove the internet from the entire world. It's very disparate and decentralized the way that the internet is set up. Yes, there's service providers and telecom companies, but there's a bunch of them, and they don't want to shoot themselves in the foot either. A lot of people need to recognize that this whole New World Order, if they're not omnipotent, they're not all powerful. They're not just because they say you'll own nothing, that doesn't mean it's going to be so, right? Especially if we push back, especially if we come from a place of empowerment. So we're going to talk about some of these objections. We're going to talk about the possibility that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is part of this New World Order, one world currency, mark of the beast system. I encourage you to go over to buildwealthoptout.com. That's buildwealthoptout.com and register for the webinar today. It's absolutely free. And I strongly believe that cryptocurrency is a wonderful way, not only to build wealth, but also protect yourself from all this surveillance and control stuff that's taking place. Again, that's buildwealthoptout.com. We're going to be doing it January 6th. If you're not available January 6th, you will have access to the replay afterwards. We'll be sure to communicate with you via email, buildwealthoptout.com. Okay, now the fifth and final thing that I want to share with you today. Again, today's topic, if you're just joining us, this is the Live Free Now show. And we're talking about 5 ways that you can have more freedom in your life in 2022. The fifth thing I want to talk about, perhaps the most important besides the mindset. You got to get your mind right before any of this really is accomplishable. The fifth way that you can find more freedom in your life is by participating in the Freedom Cell Network. If you're already in the Freedom Cell Network, taking a more active role in the Freedom Cell Network. What is the Freedom Cell Network? You might be asking yourselves. Let me see in the comments all the folks that are involved in the Freedom Cell Network. I'd love to hear from you. If you're part of the Freedom Cell Network, if you have a local cadre, if you're on the website at least, if you don't do meetings and stuff, we'd love to hear if you're at least familiar with it and what it is that you're doing as part of it. The Freedom Cell Network is a decentralized community of like-minded people that get together and work on common goals. That's basically what it is on a foundational level. Like-minded people that see through the control grid, that see through the agenda, but more importantly, they recognize the problem and they're ready to engage in the solution. They're ready to exit all these centralized systems and to build voluntary decentralized systems. That's what the Freedom Cell Network is all about. Look at Vanessa. Not only does she have Pirate Chain, Armity, but she's also in the Freedom Cell Network. Yeah. We have Remnant Apothecary and Remedies. Yes, Freedom Cell member in Canyon Lake, Texas. All right. Me and my lovely fiance just were in Canyon Lake. It's beautiful out there. I love all the hills. And we didn't actually go into the lake, but we stayed in a lake house. It was really nice. So shout out Canyon Lake there. So the Freedom Cell Network, there's over 30,000 like-minded people. 30,000 people. And that's just folks that are registered on the website. You can take part in the network and not even be part of it, and not even be on the website, right? This is it right here. It's actually 28,984 on the website. This is how you join us. You go to freedomcells.org, you sign up. You can use a fake name. You can use a fake email if you want. We'd love to know about your skills. You can put your address in, and if you put your address in, it'll put you on a map. But I encourage you not to use the address of your house. Don't use your home address. Use an address from a park down the street or a coffee shop down the road. And we very much would love you to join us, because once you enter the network, you'll be able to find people in your area. Chances are, if you live in a decently populated area, there's other like-minded people that are raising their hand and saying, hey, I'm here to work on projects. I'd love to build a garden. I have children. I want to pull them out of school. I'm trying to build a homeschool cooperative. We'd love to go to the gun range. I got all sorts of survival skills that I'd like to teach at a workshop. And it's just people that are committed to improving their situation in life and to finding more freedom. It's really super groovy. We're very active on Telegram. If you join on the website, freedomcells.org, you'll get access to all the Telegram groups. Let me drop one of the Telegram groups. That's a good start here in the chat also. Let me do that for you there. We're very active on Telegram, not so much on Facebook and all that nonsense. But this is one of our global groups here. So you can join this group on Telegram and get tuned in to some of the local areas. Join the Freedom Cell Network on Telegram. And again, that's what it's all about. It started off just as an idea that I had back in 2014, 2015. And the idea was just like, there's so many people that believe in the philosophy of liberty, yet none of us are living free. We're still complying with this, that, and the other, paying taxes, being good little citizens. Why is that? I began to recognize because a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid of the coercion of being put in a cage and their property taken away. And I realized, like, wow, there's really something special about strength in numbers. When we're united, when we stand up together, we can't be stopped. And there's already 30,000 of us that are ready and willing to stand up and opt out. Right? And so we had a little small group. We called it Inner Cadre, just a small group. There's like 7 of us. The group completely fell apart, right? Talked about the idea on some speeches and some podcasts. Derek Bros, my good friend, fellow activist, associate, known him for 10 years. He does amazing work. The idea resonated with him. He took it and spread it, and it turned into a network. Before it was just an idea, and there was one group, and I was trying to get some legs at it, but it just wasn't happening. He shared it with his audience, turned it into a network. Now get this, before COVID popped off, there was around 1,000 people in the Freedom Cell Network. Now there's around 30,000 plus, probably easily 40,000 or 50,000. There's a lot of people that are just affiliated or doing stuff, and they're not on the website or on Telegram. They're just part of the network. Right? It's like this grassroots kind of hidden thing, but it's not really hidden. But some people, it's just really cool. So it went from 1,000 to 30,000 people, and we're continuing to grow it. I'd love to see 100,000 people by the end of 2022. Essentially, the big picture goal here is to create our own free society, to render government and large corporations obsolete, to decouple ourselves from these centralized, coercive, manipulative, corrupt institutions, and to build and proliferate alternative institutions that are decentralized, voluntary, just, transparent, to organize on a horizontal level. Horizontal organizing is where everyone has equal shared power, right? That doesn't mean it's egalitarian, everyone's the same and blah, 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 right? Other people will have different levels of success, different strengths, different weaknesses, but we're organizing and we're equal on an equal footing in terms of power. We can't project power over other people. That's horizontal organizing. It's really cool, revolutionary stuff. Evolutionary, I should say. The other type of organizing is vertical organizing, which is hierarchical. Means there's people over here that have authority over the people down here, whether it's a corporation with the board of directors and the CEO, whether it's a government like the US with the president, and then of course the oligarchs and the cabal above the president even, and then the citizens down here and the enforcement class above them. No, it's horizontal. There's nobody enforcing or having authority over anyone else. And we've grown it quite a bit. And the whole purpose is for folks that are just coming to their own and recognizing that there's problems in the world. It's to serve as like a welcoming committee. People are like, I can't believe this is happening. I watched this video, this documentary. Now I know something's up. I just had my intuition wasn't having it. And now I'm ready to do something about it. But what do I do? Do I get lost in research? Do I share articles online? No. You join us and we get to work building a better world. It's not going to build itself. Can't rely on politicians. Can't rely on Trump. Can't rely on the Libertarian Party to do the right thing. Can't rely on anyone but ourselves and each other. So I strongly encourage you to check out the Freedom Cell Network. Again, there's over 30,000 people, like-minded people. They know there's a problem, but more importantly, they are oriented towards solutions. That's what it's all about. Freedom Cell Network. And finally, I want to invite you to the Greater Reset. The Freedom Cell Network is hosting the 3rd Greater Reset. Perhaps you've heard of the Great Reset. Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. They want you to own nothing and be happy. They want to usher in this fourth industrial revolution, which essentially is a surveillance society, panopticon style society, where technology is merged with human biology. Everything's tracked, traced, cataloged, controlled, social credit score system for everything. That's their aims. But just because they talk about it doesn't mean that it's so. We are putting forward a greater reset, a people's reset. We didn't like the way things were. We certainly don't like the way things are going, but we want to put forward an alternative path that we can all embark on. We have some amazing speakers. We have Foster Gamble, we have RFK Jr., Aaron Elizabeth, Derek Bros. There's all sorts of folks talking about permaculture, community building, getting off the grid. There's a whole day dedicated to taking back our technology through encryption and privacy and decentralized devices and cryptocurrency. Joel Salatin's going to be joining us. He's an amazing human being doing amazing work. So you can go get the information about the event at thegreaterreset.org, thegreaterreset.org. I strongly encourage you to join our newsletter so you can be the first to know about the latest announcements and updates and whenever the stream starts. Thegreaterreset.org. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out all the speakers. Join a local activation hub. It's a movement worldwide where people are going to be watching this. They're going to be doing workshops. They're going to do a lot of cool stuff. All right. So to recap, today we talked about 5 different things you can do in order to find more freedom in your life. It all starts with getting your mind right, believing in yourself, believing that you can make a change in your life, believing that you deserve freedom in your life and you have the ability and the capability to make it happen, to find freedom in your life, to find freedom and abundance and wealth. Second part of having a free 22 was to really get our money right, to focus more on money, to have a positive relationship with money, to earn more money and build wealth by providing value to our fellow human beings and helping other people solve problems. The bigger problems you solve, the more money you make. The more people you help, the more money you make. The more value you add to the world, the more money you make. Simple as that. Get your money right. Then we talk about having a plan. A lot of people are just going around in the world and it's just like bing, 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 and they're just like carrying out a program, or they're constantly reacting to the politics of the day, the lockdown of the day, the mandate of the day. I want to encourage people to be proactive, to come up with a plan for your life and to execute that plan, to pay attention to that plan, and be serious and methodical about your lifestyle design, and the actions that you choose to take should be in alignment with your plan and your goals. Then you develop this mindfulness and you're like, all right, my plan is to be in this particular type of health. My plan is to have this much money so I can purchase this piece of land and I can move here. You have that plan, and then you become mindful and you're like, okay, are my day-to-day actions in alignment with that plan? All right, I have a plan of coming up with a $30,000 down payment so I can buy this house. But you're sitting there on social media, scrolling on Facebook, and you're like, wait a second, how is this in alignment with my goal of $30,000 so I can get the down payment? It's not in alignment. I have a plan, and I recognize when I'm stepping away from the plan and not acting in a way that's more likely to fulfill the plan. Come up with a plan, come up with a strategy, have big, sexy, fun goals. We talked about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is going to play a big role in creating systems that enable us to continue to do business, continue to do commerce when this market to beast system is rolled out. It's going to protect us from all this inflation nonsense. It's going to put us on the receiving end of a big wealth transfer, because there's a lot of money that's flocking into this, because a lot of people are recognizing that there's a con taking place right now through the inflation tax. I'm hosting a webinar. It's absolutely free. I strongly encourage you to check it out. BuildWealthOptOut.com is where you can sign up. BuildWealthOptOut.com is taking place January 6th. January 6th, 100% free. I'm going to spend a couple hours with you breaking things down. We'll have some time for questions, Q&A, teach you how to use cryptocurrency, teach you how it's ungovernable. I'll overcome some of the common objections about it. That's BuildWealthOptOut.com. If you can't make it January 6th, still sign up, because you'll get access to the replay afterwards. BuildWealthOptOut.com. And then finally, I encourage folks to join the Freedom Cell Network. We got 30,000 plus people, like-minded, focused on solutions. There's a bunch of people that came together, pulled their kids out of government school. Now they're homeschooling together. There's a bunch of people that moved out of the city and bought land and are building intentional communities together. There's a bunch of people that are just supporting one another because they feel isolated and alone, because they don't think there's other people that think like they do. But I got news for you. There are, and we're getting organized. I strongly believe that there's enough of us that know what's going on in the world to where if we just worked together, got organized, and collectively built alternative systems and then opted out, we can find liberty in our lifetime. And let's let 2022 be a big year to do just that. All right, this is John Bush. I want to thank you for tuning in. You can find more content like this at livefreenow.show, livefreenow.show. If you want to join the Live Free Academy membership, check that out at livefreemembership.com. That's livefreemembership.com. And make sure you take part in the Greater Reset coming up January 26th through the 30th. It's going to be really special, the Greater Reset 3 integration. This is John Bush signing out. Peace and